So when you look at where retail has been over multiple cycles and where we sit today, we're obviously in a very good spot in terms of supply and demand and feel good about the growth profile going forward of the combined organization.
Joining me today is Conor Flynn, CEO of Kimco Realty. So Conor, 2023 has been an active year for Kimco in terms of acquisitions, not least the agreement to buy RPT Realty. What are the underlying trends that are giving you the confidence to make these sorts of transactions?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's really an exciting time to be in the shopping center space. I think when you look at the overall fundamentals of supply and demand, it's surprising to some that the overall vacancy rate today in shopping centers as a whole is the lowest ever on record, which I think really surprises some folks because that's been tracked for over 20 years. And this is like a really sort of an interesting time where there's virtually no new supply. So 0.5% of existing stock is coming out of the ground, which is virtually zero. It's the lowest of any commercial real estate sector. So virtually no new supply. Net new store openings are outpacing closures by 2 to 1. So very strong demand from multiple different retailers growing. So obviously that, concludes with pricing power. We just had the strongest leasing spreads we've had in over 6 years. We're seeing, all-time high occupancies on small shops. Retailer demand for the Bed Bath & Beyond boxes has been robust. So when you look at where retail has been over multiple cycles and where we sit today, we're obviously in a very good spot in terms of supply and demand and feel good about the growth profile going forward of the combined organization.
And how is Kimco positioned to deal with ongoing market financing challenges? And what is the overall macro environment impact? How is that impacting your strategy?
Yeah, so obviously everyone's faced with the same sort of interest rate environment, right? So it has, been, I would say, an overhang for commercial real estate. And, facing that interest expense increase has been a challenge for all, including Kimco. Being large, being well-laddered, being very liquid, low leverage has been a calling card for Kimco for the past 5 years. We're at all-time low leverage in terms of a net debt to EBITDA. We have a well-laddered maturity profile. So again, you want to make sure you don't have like a cliff coming that's going to be hard to refinance. So we try and push things out. We did 30-year bonds when rates were at all-time lows. Instead of going short and floating, we went long and fixed. And so I think when you look at the overall strength of the cash flow growth of the organization, that's outweighing the interest expense increase. And that's what's leading to a growth profile that, we think will be well received by the market going forward. And, continuing strength on the retailer side is very much tied to the consumer. So obviously, inflationary environment, the consumer continues to be resilient, but people are watching that closely, as are we. Traffic is up year over year to our shopping centers, so that's a good indication that people are continuing to gravitate towards the local grocery anchored shopping center. But we'll have to wait and see, obviously, as the most recent inflationary data was positive because it wasn't as high as anticipated. And so if we get a stabilization of rates, I think that will be welcomed not only by the shopping center industry and Kimco, but by commercial real estate and REITs as a whole.
And are there any particular initiatives underway at Kimco that you're particularly looking forward to for 2024?
Well, 24 is an exciting year for us because RPT will be the integration year for us. So it's slated to close around January, and so we're really excited about the integration because we've integrated Weingarten. We were very successful at that. We saw like a lot of opportunities in the RPT portfolio that we could take advantage of as well. Most notably, probably Mary Brickell Village. Brickell in Miami is probably the hottest hotspot to be in, and that asset, it's a Publix anchored center with a lot of future opportunities to go vertical. Citadel has their new world headquarters pretty much coming out of the ground right next door. You've got a Dolce & Gabbana new condo tower going up right next door. We have over 4 million square feet of additional density rights that we can activate over time. So that one's pretty unique and pretty exciting to work on. But 24, I think for us, is more about focusing on FFO growth and understanding that if we can be, top of the charts in terms of FFO growth, we should outperform.
And last but not least, Kimco was the recipient of Nareit's 2023 Leader in the Light Award for the retail sector. What are you most proud of in terms of what Kimco is achieving in sustainability? Yeah,
so it's an incredible award. We're very honored to be the Leader of Light, and this is 2 years in a row. So we don't take that for granted. We ESG and like a lot of the sustainability initiatives, we believe is part of our culture. I think it's all important to, if you're a landlord that's a long-term landlord that wants to sort of position yourself to have the next generation benefit from initiatives that you put in place today. Sustainability is sort of core to our DNA. And so, there were a number of initiatives that we had that we actually achieved earlier than anticipated. I think the irrigation controls that we're doing is pretty remarkable. I'm a big believer that technology is going to continue to evolve the shopping center and how we go about efficiently tracking, scope 1, scope 2 emissions. Obviously, scope 3 is the one that everyone is trying to unpack and figure out how to control. Because of our relationships with our national retailers, we're doing a lot of work there on the scope 3 side just to figure out, again, how much emissions are coming out from the inside the four walls that we don't control versus the shopping center that we do control. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming, I think, with prop tech and climate tech. I think there's only there's a myriad of opportunities, I think, to continue to evolve.